All right, let's look at problems numbers 9 and 10 from worksheet H4-5. Number 9, we have the inequality 7q minus 1 is greater than q plus 11, or we've got negative 11q is greater than negative 33. So this is a disjunction, again, looking for the union, so we're going to combine their solutions into one solution set. Let's start with the left side here, and let's solve that inequality. I'm going to rewrite it as 7q minus 1 is greater than q plus 11. Now, be smart how you do this. If you want to subtract the 7q from each side, you're going to set yourself up for having to flip the inequality later on. So let's try to keep our variable in a positive state. So let's subtract the q from each side. I now have 6q minus 1 is greater than 11. And when we add the 1 to each side there, we'll have 6q is greater than 12. After we divide by 6, we'll have q is greater than 2. Or, right, because this is a disjunction, now we need to solve the other side. So we have negative 11q is greater than negative 33. We'll divide each side by negative 11. And remember, this is where you have to be paying attention to what you're doing. You're dividing both sides of the equation by, the inequality by a negative. Therefore, we have to flip our inequality here. What we're going to end up with now then is q is less than 3. So we'll go ahead and bring that down here. Q is less than 3. Let's plot these on our number line. 2 is the lesser number, so it's on the left. And then we have 3 is the greater number, so it's on the right. When we graph q is greater than 2, we're going to have an open circle, and it's going to be going to the right. When we graph q is less than 3, that's an open circle that is going to the left. So what appears to be happening here is, because we're looking at the union of these graphs, it doesn't appear that there are going to be any values on the number line that don't work. So this is one of those special cases here where we've got any number on the number line is going to work. So our solution here is going to end up being all real numbers. So you see that here, right there, and then you see I have that solid line on the number line to represent that. All right, let's move on to number 10. Number 10, we've got negative 3 is less than or equal to negative 2 times the quantity of t minus 3. And then that negative 2 times the quantity of t minus 3 is going to be less than 6. So we're looking at a conjunction. We'll break this apart here. You can take it and do it the other way I showed you in class if you'd like to, but I'm going to break it apart just to make sure I'm getting it correct. So my first inequality is going to come from that first thing that I boxed there. Negative 3 is less than or equal to negative 2 times the quantity of t minus 3. And our second inequality is going to come from that middle section and the right side. So we have a negative 2 times the quantity of t minus 3, and that is less than 6. Now, just thinking about how you wish to solve them, you have a couple options. You could distribute your negative 2 through the quantity, or you could take it here and you could say that you're going to divide each side by that negative 2. In which case, remember, you are going to have to deal with, since you're dividing both sides by negative, you got to flip the inequality there. So what we're looking at right now here is a positive 3/2 is greater than or equal to t minus 3. Okay, if you want to get rid of the fraction, you can multiply everything by 2 if you really wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and just add 3 to each side. When I add 3 to 3/2, right, 3/2 is like 1.5. So I'm going to end up with 4.5 here is greater than or equal to t. And on the other side here, when we're working through this inequality, you know what, since on the other one there we divided both sides by negative 2 and flipped it, you probably would have to do the same thing here. You could also, distribute through on this one as well. Oops, let me switch colors so I'm being consistent there. There we go. I'm going to divide each side by a -2. I don't know why I made it one big fraction bar. There you go. After we do that, we have a t minus 3, right, is going to be greater than -3. Just make sure you didn't miss that, right? Divided both sides by a negative, so you had to flip that. And then as you finish solving it, you add 3 to each side, and you're going to get that t is greater than 0. So we're looking at our two inequalities here, and we're looking to see where they're going to intersect. Let's plot each. We're going to have a 0 on the left side, and we will have our 4.5 on the right side. When we graph t is greater than 0, we know that that is going to be an open circle that goes to the right. And t is less than or equal to 4.5 is going to be a closed circle that goes to the left. And you saw me read this as t is less than or equal to 4.5. If you need to rewrite it that way so you can see it, that's totally fine. Now when we look for that intersection between the two, we're going to take it here and see all the values that make both inequalities true. That's everything greater than 0 up to and including 4.5. So let's go ahead and put an open circle here, a closed circle at 4.5, and then we will connect those just like that. So we can leave our answer in this form if you wish, or you could take it and rewrite it as the compound inequality. Now when you do that though, right, our 0 needs to come first. We're going to say 0 is less than t, and t is less than or equal to 4.5. And that is going to be our solution. If you have questions about 9 and 10, make sure you mark them down, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks.